But don't get me wrong, dude. I mean, I absolutely adore this business. I mean, I love it. It's nothing, you know, they had a saying, you know, if you love what you do, you never work a day of your life.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. Okay. Working Fans Podcast. Cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Coming down 3, 2.
Welcome back for another week of the Working Fans Podcast. This is AJ. I'm the former wrestler. We've got Dave, the ultimate fan, here with us. As we do every week, our producer Joe likes to make us sound good and makes us look way more professional than we actually are. As always, you can find us on Twitter, that's @FansWorking, Facebook, Working Fans Pod. We've got email where you can reach out to us and please contact us to let us know what you think of the podcast and for any ideas that you might have. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. We're on Instagram where you can keep up with us at workingfanswrestling_pod. And then you can now listen to us on all major platforms, including Anchor.fm. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and you can actually check us out on YouTube. Now, it's important when you go onto the Apple Podcasts and YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a rating, let us know what you think so you can help us out and we can continue to do what we love and bring you guys in as fans. All right, guys, welcome back to Is It a Work? This week I want to talk about something very personal and near and dear to my heart. I'm getting tired of all these crutches people are using. People either are addicted to something or they want to whine about their anxiety or they want to whine about what's hurt their feelings and why they can't fucking do this. The world is becoming a place of excuses. When I was a kid, you didn't have all this shit. And I hate to sound like I'm out of fucking place or a different time period, but you know what? I am. I'm from this beautiful place called the 80s. Look it up sometime, kid. You'll love it. It was a place where you had rock and roll, people got their asses kicked, and then people went out and did what they were supposed to do. And god damn it, I love that society. Now we got people who need to come into a restaurant with their fucking dog in their hand to make them feel good enough to be able to eat their fucking gluten-free food because their tummy hurts. Let me let you in on a secret, folks. Gluten, first of all, isn't even a fucking allergy. It's a goddamn intolerance. Secondly, you want to talk about a first world problem. You never hear anybody in Kenya sitting there going, hey, no, buddy, I can't eat that bread. I've got a gluten allergy. I'm going to sit over there and starve to death rather than fucking eat the bread so I don't get a goddamn tummy ache. We've turned into a pussy society, and part of it is not being able to take responsibility for what we do. Here's a little thing. If you're hooked on drugs, you know who took drugs the first time? You, dumbass. You know who got you there? You. Take responsibility. Same thing with alcohol. Same thing with anything that you're fucking doing out there. We always want to blame people for what we're doing. Cigarettes, same goddamn thing. We get people all the time. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I've got a spot in my lung. It's like, oh my God, did you smoke? They're like, well, only like 3 packs a day for 12 years. It's like, wow, really? That's it? Fucking A. Unless you were born in 1920 before they put the fucking warning on the side of the pack, you know whose fault that is? It's your fault! God damn. You weigh 300 pounds. Guess what? I'm a little overweight right now. You know who's to blame for that? It's my fucking self. You know who's responsible? It's me. You know why? I didn't get myself to the gym. I didn't fucking eat what I was supposed to eat. So now I've got myself out of shape. So now it's my responsibility to get myself back in shape and to fucking get myself back on that treadmill and work out the way I used to and eat right and get myself back in shape. It's on me. It's not on the fucking government. It's not on the McDonald's for selling me the fucking cheeseburger. Oh my God, they made it too easy. I mean, they put that light there. How was I going to look away from it? Holy shit. My God, my car's just going in that direction. Please, Mama, help me. Motherfuckers, get off the tit. Anybody else, by the way, I got a suggestion for you. You want to know what part of the problem is? Hey, moms, maybe stop breastfeeding the kid till they're 4 years old. I saw a kid the other day in a fucking mall, and I ain't got a problem when you're breastfeeding kids in the mall. You want to breastfeed? Breastfeed. That's not my fucking business. But here's the goddamn problem I do have. If the kid is old enough to reach up and grab your tit and milk it himself, maybe it's time to stop fucking breastfeeding. I'm just saying. The kid's 14 years old, got a fucking mustache, tickling the nipple on you. Maybe let it go, folks. Just saying. That's, and you know what? I'm sick and tired of all these people making excuses. Here's something else. The people that help you along the way, maybe instead of shitting on them and just dumping them off to the side when they're done helping you, maybe you actually fucking owe them a debt of gratitude. Maybe you can actually care about what you've done to their life and the fucking dents that you've done in there. These fucking programs that we have out there for Al-Anon and shit like that, because of your fucking drug addict asses out there and your alcoholic asses out there and all these people that have to help you along the way, it's a shame that they got to be there. So my asshole of the week this week is all you excuse-making, sissy-ass, piece of shit snowflakes out there who want to blame the world for your fucking problems instead of actually doing something about it. Get yourself clean, get yourself dried up, get a job, get off your mom's nipples, and fucking live a productive life, you piece of shit. All right, on to more serious notes. Guys, we're going to talk about the moon landing as promised. I don't believe in the moon landing, folks. It's a work. These motherfuckers have been conning you since day one. Don't blame the astronauts. I know you're going to call astronauts liars. They're not fucking liars. They're soldiers that were told what to do. So fuck you if you're going to blame the astronauts. But if you want to blame the government, that's perfectly fine. They came up with this idea, this ruse, this moment. They were like, you know what? We've been fighting in Vietnam. People aren't happy. You know what Kennedy did? He promised them we'd be flying by the end of the decade. Fuck, we're running out of time. We got to get to that moon. Goddamn, something help us. So you know what we ended up doing? We went to a fucking studio. We filmed these poor guys pretending to be on the moon. You can see the wind blowing on the fucking flag. There's no wind on the moon. You can see the picture clear as day in a time period where we couldn't even see our goddamn fucking television, more than 3 channels, and half of those you had to stand on the roof and play with the antenna. But you want us to believe that this came in crystal clear as can be from fucking Houston, Texas, all the way to the goddamn moon. We're not idiots. We're not morons. So guess what, folks? Get out there. Let your government know you don't believe in it. Hashtag moon landing's fucking fake. Hashtag isn't a work. You're damn right it's a fucking work. One more thing to talk about this week. Thank God this Lana fucking Rusev shit is coming to an end. We're going to get the Bulgarian brute back. We'll have to stop watching this stupid fucking wedding, marriage, whatever. God damn it. Let me let you in on a secret, folks. Nobody's a goddamn good guy or a bad guy when it comes to these marriage angles. All it does is end up in divorce. I feel horrible because you see it's coming. Eventually, Lana and Rusev are gonna end up in a real divorce court. And it's all going to be because Lana's a fucking idiot. Guys, you want to know if it's a work, you want to fucking talk to us about anything, do what Randy Osgood does. Reach out to us on Twitter. He asked us this week, he said, guys, what do you think of the AEW women's division and what they've done? Here's what I think about it. It's trash. Chris Statlander's absolutely incredible. You got some good athletes in there. This week they did something genius. They kept Britt fucking Baker on the sideline sitting in a chair wearing a pair of jeans and didn't let her wrestle. Thank God for that, because nobody needs to see her fucking wrestling. She's trash. She's a beautiful to look at, but she couldn't wrestle her way out of a wet paper bag. Then you got a 12-year-old girl in Riho who's your champ and somehow manages to still be the fucking champion. God damn it, Kenny Omega. I know you love the girl. I know she's like a daughter to you or whatever weird fetish you have she is to you. But you got to let this one go. The crowd doesn't react to her. They don't give a shit. She's over as much as Nyla Rose, for Christ's sakes. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Fuck. Christ. The American audience does not give a shit about these Japanese women that you happen to have brought over. I'm sorry. It's just not working. And then you got Awesome Kong and Brandy. Awesome Kong 10 years ago was absolutely incredible. She was a beast of a woman who could fucking have a hell of a match. She's working with Brandy Rhodes. Brandy Rhodes is the least talented woman I've ever seen in my life. She has a great business mind. She's fucking an awesome human being. She does great things that way. That being said, she can't work in the ring. She can't work on the mic. She has no fucking presence other than the fact that she's beautiful. God damn it, just because she's sucking your cock, Cody, you gotta let this one go, buddy. Just put her back in the office where she belongs or have her valet for you. One of the two. Please, please. So, guys, that's the end of this episode. If you've got a problem with what we say, reach out on Twitter, reach out on whatever form of media you want. Send your fucking carrier pigeon. Make it happen. Let us know. And if you're not down with that, Dave and Joe, this week, I got 2 words for you. Later.
Everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast. Dave's right here. You know who we are. We got Joe, the producer.
What up?
And we got my boy AJ calling in on assignment today. I believe last week we had talked we were going to discuss some Wrestle Kingdom, New Japan. We didn't get to, well, we got busy lives, folks, but we saw some of it. We're going to fucking talk about it. We got some opinions.
The reason why it's called the Working Fans Podcast.
Yeah, we're working. I think the first thing I want to talk about, I know we want to talk, AJ wants to talk about the AEW/New Japan relationship, what it is, what it isn't, but I want to address, first thing is Jushin Liger. Jushin Liger retiring. This is a guy, he came over to the States. I was first familiar with his matches with Brian Pillman in the WCW Cruiserweight division that they had decided. I believe it was the light heavyweight division at the time. And his matches were excellent. I was just a big fan of WCW around that time, too. Bringing into New Japan talent was always one of my favorite things. And these guys had great matches in Super Brawl. And years later, they would have one of the best matches to open up Nitro in the Mall of America, the first ever Nitro.
Well, the thing about Jushin Liger is that we had seen in wrestling magazines, those of us that were big fans of wrestling in the 80s, we had seen guys like Tiger Mask and Tiger's Kid, Black Cat. We've seen these characters in photographs, but we had never seen them live on our television set. So all of a sudden we saw this guy who looked like he could be out of Pokemon or out of a superhero realm, and all of a sudden he's on TV and he's doing these amazing moves that a lot of people weren't doing in that time period, and it was just popping off the screen. So it was a big hit for WCW when he first came out and was wrestling guys like Brian Pillman, Bad Street, Tom Zink. It really lit up the screen.
Yeah.
One of the few things that I actually watched from Wrestle Kingdom was the 8-man tag match that first night, and it was loaded with names. I mean, they had, I believe, Naoki Sano, who was in the next night's tag match. You had Sasuke, you had Shinjiro Otani. You had a lot of legends in there, really kind of paying tribute to Liger in a last match. And I thought it was nice to see all those guys in there. Sasuke still showing up huge.
Oh, Sasuke looks great. The thing on Sasuke is he's always actually looked really good in the ring. The thing that's always buried him is being a promoter and his backstage politics when it comes to whether it's holding up the WWE and not letting them get a good shot at bringing in Dick Togo and who is a little fella there that wrestled for a while, Dave? The Japanese guy. He was there for a few years.
Taka Michinoku.
Now you got Michinoku Pro. He was actually, the only reason you saw Sasuke that first run was because when the WWE wanted to sign him, Sasuke basically said, yeah, he can only come over if I come over and you put me over.
Right.
And that's one of the little known things about Sasuke. And it's the reason why he didn't translate as much in the U.S. is because nobody liked working with him.
Yeah, but in Japan, he's still big. And the second night, you had Liger and Sano versus Takahashi and Dragon Lee. You know, and that was a pretty good lineup.
Now, I like Dragon Lee. I've always been a Dragon Lee fan. I thought that they also stole the show. And I enjoyed the end of the match, how they all paid tribute once again. I think that it was a great show of respect, and they really put it together well.
Yeah, and then the next night they had that big retirement ceremony, and it was good to see them send Liger off as the hero that he is. On Facebook, I even saw they had a picture of Liger looking out a window with his mask on, and then looking out the window with his mask off. You see him without the mask on, and you realize kind of how old he actually is.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that due to him wearing the mask for so long, I mean, for all we know, it could have been 6 different guys playing him, but whatever.
I know. I heard that at one point that it was almost like New Japan, I thought I had heard, had bought the character, so that way you can just perpetually keep putting people in the Liger mask. Like, think if you had the Liger mask and you put it on Ospreay for an amount of time.
Yeah.
Then Liger's legacy, it just gets so much broader there.
AJ also believes that there might have been several people who played Kane at one point too, though. So let's take that for what it's worth.
Let's not even. Hey, don't even get me going about how the Ultimate Warrior died and they fooled us with the second one.
Yeah. I think Paul Orndorff died and came back too, buddy.
Well, now, someone that they did do that with is that there were multiple Tiger masks.
Yeah, they did.
Actually, with the Tiger Mask character, they actually did have multiple wrestlers who actually played Tiger Mask.
Yeah, I believe Sayama was the first one, and they're up to like Tiger Mask 4 now. ACH was even Tiger the Dark.
There you go, see?
That was actually two Wrestle Kingdoms ago.
Racist, but
I want to switch this up a little bit. I want to get right into it. Chris Jericho defeats Tanahashi. Mox wins the U.S. title. Successfully defends it the next night again against Juice Robinson. They do an angle with him. He's supposed to come back and fight Minoru Suzuki. Apparently, there is no AEW New Japan relationship officially. Depending on who you ask, you get different opinions about this. But they obviously, some wrestlers have a working relationship over there. We heard before on Dave Meltzer's podcast at one point that when they went to go see New Japan when they were in Dallas, Texas, they weren't even allowed to mention that company. They didn't want them to mention AEW. Now suddenly AEW is getting mentioned. We're getting brought up. I mean, guys, let's pull the fucking trigger on this. Like, this is going to be really good for wrestling for both companies. Jericho said it himself. And I think that, I know you can argue that New Japan can establish its own, footing in the U.S., but if these guys are working together, like, it's just going to be money and it's going to be success for both companies.
Maybe it's not necessarily working together, but Jericho's a contracted person. He's free to work with New Japan. If he's the champion, let's bring up the title name. Maybe there's no hopes of working together, but you have to acknowledge a championship somewhere. Maybe you make a storyline to make it fit the show you're on. Obviously, I'd like to see them work together, but I think with New Japan wanting to branch out into the U.S., I can't see them doing it. Not that it's a bad idea.
Come on, guys. To quote a wise man, it's a work. Of course it's a work. What are you, fucking Martin? It's all a work. The whole thing is a work. If you think that they don't have a working relationship, they're bringing over the top stars, John Moxley, Chris Jericho. They put a belt on Jericho, for Christ's sakes. New Japan's going to work with anybody.
Hold on. They put a belt on Moxley. I just want to make sure we get that. Sorry.
Oh, Moxley. They put the belt on Moxley.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
Either way. They put a belt on a top guy from AEW. They're not doing that if there's not some kind of working agreement. They're not going to take a chance at having your Nitro shit happen when it's Alundra Blaze, where she drops the freaking belt in a garbage can somewhere and says this doesn't matter. If there's no working agreement, they're not putting a championship on a top guy from another company. There's some kind of working agreement going on here, and they're playing us.
What about the restriction of working the other company's TV in the U.S.?
Well, that's the other thing that I'm saying is they remember AEW's telling these guys, hey, you can't work with other companies' TV, you can't do this, you can't do that, but you can go on the biggest pay-per-view of the year for New Japan and win their title, and it's all hunky-dory. There's got to be some kind of working agreement there.
Okay, that makes enough sense.
I mean, Cody has basically said that the door is open. He said, we're already sending people over there. It's just a question of how far do we want to open this door. So I do agree there is something going on, but I want to see this to the level that we're going to see New Japan stars go back and forth on US TV, on a pay-per-view, to building something more. We don't know how much working agreement is actually here.
So it's not like an ROH door definitely closed type
right, and here's the thing with that too. If you look at the New Japan ROH agreement for the last couple of years, I think it's safe to say New Japan, for the most part, got the better of that agreement. They would come over, they would basically beat some of the stars. They would lose once in a while, but New Japan stars were built as superior. That ain't gonna fucking happen on Tony Khan's promotion.
And the last couple times they came over for ROH, you'd get Los Ingobernables, the four of them.
Yeah.
You might get like Ishii.
Sure.
And one other guy, but you're not getting the classic War of the Worlds, the top New Japan guys coming over anymore.
Yeah. Now, in fairness to that, AEW is now a major promotion with TNT, and whereas the working promotion that they had with ROH was very one-sided, and basically, if they sent over top-tier talent to ROH, it'd be like a tree falling in the forest. What the hell did it matter?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So it can't be the same relationship they had with ROH. Like, I just don't see that. I can't see fucking, Ishii coming over here to fucking, put down Cody Rhodes and, call it a day. Well, that was it. We beat him. He ain't shit.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen.
Well, to go off on a different subject, ROH this week did open up a new relationship with somebody else. They actually reopened their relationship with the NWA this week. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. Nick Aldis actually posed as a camera guy at ringside and actually helped to make it so that Villain Enterprises lost their 6-man titles.
Interesting.
Oh, wow, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's all part of him actually going after Marty Scurll, and it's going to be part of bringing Marty Scurll back to NWA television so that they can actually have the continuance of their feud. PCO actually on that same card against Roosh defended his title for the first time and was successful, but Villain Enterprises lost the 6-man belts.
Now, what's interesting about this, too, is there's a rumor going around now, too, that Ring of Honor is offering Marty Scurll WWE-type money, and not only that, an agreement where he could work dates in New Japan, NWA, and possibly do some AEW as well. Like, that's fucking unheard of. Yeah.
But with that speculation, this makes sense for them to open up the door and to work.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why, I'm bringing that up, because I could see that working out. And there is also a rumor that Marty's been offered a main roster contract, because main roster stars actually make more money than NXT guys because you're working more dates. So Marty Scurll is a very hot... We're slipping into another conversation now, but Marty Scurll is a very hot commodity at this point.
Well, I think the supposed contract that you're talking about ROH offering him, that almost sounds like the best of all worlds,
right? And
something that we're into, because we like that cross promotion.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And if you could show up on ROH, if you can make that feud go across to NWA is just growing as a product. ROH could use that boost.
Well, basically, this contract makes it so we can go everywhere but AEW and WWE.
I thought AEW might have been.
AEW is talked about as one of the potential. He could even possibly work AEW with that contract. That's what's amazing about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying it's almost like, why would you not take that?
It's unheard of.
Be a huge ROH star, but then also be this NWA figurehead.
Yeah, unless they're offering him Hogan money. I don't see how he's going to. All right, yeah.
But Marty Scurll's been big for like 3-4 years now, really building on that character, building that brand.
And
he deserves the money.
The timing's perfect, too.
Yeah.
So good for him. Let's talk about some other companies, too. Let's talk about Chelsea Green from WWE, Allison Kay from NWA, Priscilla Kelly from Independence, Tara Calloway. All these... Tara Calloway, I'm not giving that name a lot of hints.
Priscilla Kelly's actually in AEW now.
Okay, she does MLW stuff, too. I know that, too.
Okay. I just thought I saw that she signed with AEW.
Well, I mentioned all these girls for a reason, because they all work for different promotions, but they all have something in common. They all went, I don't know if you caught this, AJ, yesterday, and they all took Tessa Blanchard to task. Did you happen to catch any of this?
I did not. By all means, please.
All right. So Tessa Blanchard put out a tweet. I'm not sure what it's about, but obviously maybe she wasn't feeling support is the only thing I can think of. She said it would be a great idea is if women in wrestling actually decided to support one each other. And then there were multiple tweets that came out, one being that support, like the time you slapped that black girl in Japan and called her the N-word. Another one was when you bullied people in the locker room. Another one was about causing a legit fight in a battle royal and then called all the girls trash in the locker room, and another fight broke out. It was multiple girls. Like, there's 4 girls right here that I got that from all different promotions, and that's not even the beginning. There is a laundry list of women coming out speaking up against Tessa right now. And I love Blanchard's name. I love the family. But where there's smoke, there's fire. There's so many people. Clearly, this young girl must have some kind of attitude or something going on.
Well, speaking of Australia,
Sorry,
that's a different fire.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Tessa Blanchard has had this bad attitude basically labeled onto her since the day she's entered wrestling.
Right.
Nobody's ever said that backstage she's one of the best people to work on. If you remember even the first Mae Young, the criticism of her was that she was immature and that she came across as not being a team player.
Right.
And basically she was a pain in the ass. And it might be the reason why she works more with men than she does with women, is she might just not get along with women.
Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, too, let's the girl comes from a wrestling family. Wrestling families aren't the easiest on the life. They're divorced. She had to get another wrestler as her dad, and I'm not criticizing any of that, but going through multiple households and having people that are on the road constantly. I mean, come on. I mean, that's not exactly the greatest life, I imagine, to live.
No, Dave. And on that matter, if you like all of those excuses, you should check out my Is It a Work this week. Because none of that actually means shit when it comes to the way she treats other people.
I'm not giving Tessa a pass. I'm just saying, this seems like we shouldn't be shocked by this. Is my point.
Plus,
the fact that she smacked ACH backstage and actually called him the N-word.
Nobody said that. We said he did that to a woman, not ACH.
Well, that's why I assumed you were talking about ACH.
No.
I just assumed you were talking about a woman.
You got ACH sheet or something?
Plus, she's also a Blanchard, and it's not like Tully was always ever known for being.
Yeah, Tully wasn't the nicest guy.
Person,
yeah.
So maybe it's a personality trait.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not an excuse, but I mean, it's not like this is unbelievable.
Right, that's my point. We shouldn't be surprised by this, I guess.
Considering when people found out that Tully Blanchard had found Jesus, the first thing they asked did he find a new attitude also. I'm not surprised by this at all. It's the way she's raised. She was raised to believe that she's entitled. She has acted entitled throughout the thing. Does it take away from her talent? Absolutely not.
No.
But let's face it, at the end of the day, she's got one of the worst reputations backstage out of any wrestler on the planet right now. And I don't blame these other girls for taking her to task. If that's the way she's acting backstage, they should absolutely take her to task.
There was something that came out today. I forget who the girl was. She said there was an email that Women of Wrestling got not to speak out on the Tessa Blanchard situation. And she said, that's why you might not hear even more people speak out. She's like, but I don't care. I forget who did. I should have took that down. But Joe, apparently there's a lot more of this coming out.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, normally I'm not a big fan of coming out on Twitter and talking about this stuff. But to me, Tessa Blanchard's the one who opened up the door by saying that not enough people are getting support in the wrestling industry and that they're not helping each other out.
Right.
If you're going to open up Pandora's box, you got to be ready for what's going to come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was my big problem with it, is if you're going to complain about not being supported, you have to be aware of how you have or have not supported the community. And I think it's that hypocrisy that gets caught publicly that really is doing the damage. And it's crazy because it's coming at such a bad time, the weekend before her match with Sami Callihan tonight, where, I mean, she's expected to take the title.
I don't think there's any coincidence to the timing there, to be honest with you. But I will tell you this, the fact that all of us in the past are supporters of Tessa Blanchard, and even though we're supporters of her, I think, quite frankly, when Dave brought this up, none of us are actually shocked by what's being said. I think that says everything.
Honestly, I'm surprised you're calling her out. I thought you were going to be a Blanchard mark and kind of kiss her ass a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So.
No, absolutely not. As much fun as that sounds.
It was. Yeah, kissing her ass doesn't sound too bad. You're right.
As much fun as that sounds at the end of the day, what we do on this podcast that's different than a lot of podcasts is we call it spade to spade.
Well,
we don't go out there and candy coat things. If somebody sucks, like bringing up the great Sasuke, it'd be easy when we talk about Sasuke to just go, yeah, one of the great workers of all time, very entertaining, amazing in the ring, because he is all those things. But if a guy's a prick like him or Mil Mascaras or Tessa Blanchard, we're going to call it a spade a spade.
Well, also, too,
I was going to say, I don't know if we've called a spade, but I've called a broke bitch a broke bitch.
You know, also, too. Speaking of opening...
That's a whole nother spinoff.
Speaking of opening Pandora's box, too, if you're going to call out ACH, you better be careful you don't get some retaliation. And don't forget the super bitch.
If he wants to call us out, that's perfectly fine, since he's not wrestling anywhere anymore.
No, that's true. What else happened LA Park, or not LA Park, shit, La Parka died. Yeah. Now, if you're not confused, that's the one that landed on his neck in late November, not the one that's punching motherfuckers front row at MLW.
Right.
Two different people, yes.
Yeah. I am so lost on the La Parka timeline anyway.
I know, it's hard to explain it to people because people tell you La Parka died and you're like, that's not the one you like, but I know how it's confusing.
Because he was called La Parka.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's like Queensryche, it's like Journey. People leave the band, but you got two different people touring with the same fucking name.
Yeah.
Is this...
Yeah, when the original La Parka decided he was going to be L.A. Park, he actually basically gave up the La Parka gimmick, and this guy came in and took the La Parka gimmick, from what I understand.
Yeah, and he's not that much younger.
So the younger one actually is the one that fell on his neck, broke his neck, and is dead.
Yeah, died from a suicide dive. No irony there. That's real life.
I believe that's suicide Alicida or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe our Spanish friends can translate it for us.
Now, if we haven't offended them yet.
Ooh.
Oh, speaking of great Mexican wrestlers and Hurricanranas, Scott Steiner showed up at the end of NWA Powerr this week, the originator of the Hurricanrana.
That was a really good episode, I thought. And bringing him out right at the end, it was one of the few NWA Powers lately that I haven't heard a lot of bitching from people about. I believe even Bob Cook liked it, and that's high praise because he does not like much from them.
No.
Lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas I enjoyed this whole show. Everything from the sit-down interview with our third-degree national champion and question mark, where he always reminds us that it's Kerada.
And that's one of those silly things that NWA is doing that's highly entertaining. That third-degree belt, I don't know how he keeps a straight face during those interviews, because that is just comedy genius.
Yeah, Aaron Stevens is fantastic. He can work in the ring. He keeps up with everybody. His work rate's good, and he's able to keep a straight face with the horrible gimmicks and silly stuff that he does. The other thing is the match quality this week. We had great matches out there. And I enjoyed the Nick Aldis match. I thought him and Ricky Starr tore the house down for 6 minutes. I love the fact they put those 6-minute matches together. I think it's great that they have the time limits on there and that they hold them to it.
I also like the fact that we're leading to possibly a Ricky Morton Nick Aldis match.
Yeah, how great was Ricky Morton this week? He's our guest, and he brings out fire on NWA Powerr.
Yeah.
Like, he told us to keep watching. You guys will hear the interview later, but...
Yeah.
God, like...
Ricky also let us know that he was going to be in Memphis for AEW. And
that was a heads up.
Yeah, it was fucking 1,000% of me to want to fucking get on Twitter. Hey, Ricky Morton. But I'm like, I don't think that's been announced yet. I don't think that was my job to do that.
Well, here's another thing that he did in that match that I've never seen from a babyface before. He came out at the end of the Ricky Starr match, and he's like, yeah, let's give these guys 5 more minutes. And he looks like he's pushing for Ricky Starr to get 5 more minutes. And when Nick Aldis says no, he says, well, how about I get 5 minutes? I've never seen a babyface actually try and get themselves 5 minutes after the match.
God, Ricky Morton could get what Ricky Morton wants at this point.
That's
guy is... It's amazing at his age that he's still doing it with the passion that he still has. And he said it in the interview and he said it on the show that he's stuck up for the boys.
Yeah.
And that seems very important to him. He seems like a wrestler's wrestler to me, and everybody will hear the interview, but I thought it was amazing.
He did a great job in the interview. And then the other thing that he's doing right now is he's doing basically what Chris Jericho's doing. He's taking the fact that maybe he's lost a step, and by maybe he's lost a step, I mean definitely he's lost a step. And he is making up for it with the character and with the passion that he has out there. And it's just absolutely drawing people in, and it's incredible to see him evolve that way.
Yeah, and like one of the big things I took away from this interview, also, I mean, not to get ahead of ourselves, but he also put over Santana and Ortiz.
Right.
And it was nice to hear who this guy's favorite up-and-coming tag team was, especially when they're almost like nipping at the Rock and Roll's heels.
Yeah, he will respond to that Nikita call-off.
He also gives a peek behind the curtain for us because he talks very highly about Tom Lattimore, the former Bram, and talks about how good he is in the ring. And for him to be going up against him, obviously, on Powerr right now and going up against that group, and for him to talk about how positively behind the scenes, how good of a worker this gentleman is, I think that gives you another glimpse into how much Ricky cares about the business.
He's no ACH, though.
No.
Well, ACH will bury a motherfucker.
So, I think we got one other thing on our list this week.
We want to talk about Matt Hardy and the potential free agency, and maybe Matt Hardy possibly going to AEW, and a storyline that's been floated out there is maybe Matt Hardy leading the Dark Order.
Well, Matt Hardy, to me, I have no problem with Matt Hardy leading the Dark Order. But to me, Matt Hardy needs to go somewhere where they're going to let him be creatively what he can be. We all knew that when he came back for the money with the WWE, that creatively he was going to get stifled. I don't think anybody thought the WWE was going to let him come in and actually really do what he's capable of doing, because that's not what the WWE does.
I had high hopes. I thought they were I was hoping they'd put production behind that idea and take it to the next level. And it's one of the very few things that Impact did better. And I really missed that time where Hardy and his brother were in Impact putting out those videos. You knew that every week you were going to get something crazy. And I'd like to see them make a return with AEW and hopefully live out that promise that I saw with the WWE.
Well, I think the reason why he got to do what he did in Impact was because nobody was watching the Asylum. So you're talking about the inmates just basically running around and doing what they want to do. And with nobody in control of the booking in that time period, basically they said, all right, go for it. And he was able to be as creative as he wanted to be. Unfortunately, when you get to the WWE, there's one person who's always going to be there to nip anything creative in the bud, and that's Vince McMahon. You might remember him. He was my asshole of the week last week. And it's one of those things where when you're running through him for everything, Vince is now in his 70s. And at some point, he's got to have a grasp that he does not have the best creative anymore to try and get a hold of a 20, 30-year-old crowd, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm going to take this a step further and move from Matt Hardy to a bonus subject. We're near the end of the NFL season. That means the start of the XFL season is coming up. Could that affect the amount of time Vince puts into the wrestling?
Yes.
Will he be just as involved in both? What do you guys think? How do you guys think the XFL is going to affect wrestling going forward?
It's got to affect it. We don't know how it's going to affect it, but it's got to. It's got to change. I've been saying this for a while. Like when Fox was going to get involved, they're eventually going to AEW, Fox, and then the XFL. All three of those things are going to change wrestling. NXT's gone live now. That was a good thing that happened. Fox, that's a work in progress. You know, we brought in Eric Bischoff just to fire his ass. SmackDown, I've not been a fan of, but things are changing. You can see the show to bringing certain people back. I did like Morrison coming back. But yeah, where this is going to go, I mean, we hear things about Vince McMahon missing Raws and stuff once in a while now. That never used to happen. So I don't know, AJ, if you got an idea of where this is going, I don't, but I definitely think we're going to be in for change. Good or bad, we'll find out.
Well, I think it says everything you need to know about the situation when people are hoping that something pulls Vince McMahon away.
Sure.
When something like the XFL comes out or NXT comes up and everybody's sitting there crossing their fingers and hoping that it's pulling Vince away from the product, that tells you something. Because I remember in the old days when the WWE Attitude Era, or even if you go back to the beginning of Hulkamania, everybody talked about Vince McMahon like a genius. And now basically we've gotten to a point where we're like, oh my God, for the love of God, something pull him away. Let it be the XFL, let it be NXT, let it be the Grim Reaper. My God, something pull Vince away so that we can actually have wrestling.
I heard this, and I wanted to get your insight on this. Wrestling Observer, NXT, I think, didn't do themselves any favors putting on that award show a couple weeks ago, and I don't think they gained much momentum this week, whereas AEW's been on fire. But NXT's put on a solid wrestling show, nonetheless. Mike Sempervini of Wrestling Observer had this point. He was like, you know, people complain about the Nightmare Collective. They complain about the Dark Order. They complain about the Lana, Rusev, Lashley married segment, but that was the highest fucking segment on Raw a few weeks ago. But then when it comes to good old classic wrestling like NXT, he said all these people to complain that this is what they want. They want classic, good, real wrestling. They don't show up to watch it. So is this why we can't have nice things?
Okay, wait a minute. First of all, we are getting people tuning into the wrestling. NXT did not do themselves a favor. You never take a week off. When you're red hot, you don't take a week off. They should have put something out.
I agree.
They put something out on Christmas week.
That was where they shot themselves.
Exactly. They actually had momentum with Christmas week. Like, they put on a tape show that was good enough. If they had build up on Christmas week, hey, we got a live hot show next week coming up, I think this would be a different story right now.
Hey,
not only that, but if you remember the week before that, they had won the ratings for the first time.
Hey, your favorite podcast put out a Christmas and New Year's episode. We didn't miss shit.
No. And that goes to AEW NXT. We don't take no days off here, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget the super, bitch.
God, that's going to be our tagline soon enough.
But here's the thing that they're forgetting. Monday Night Raw with Lana and that crap is up against nothing. There's nothing on opposite it.
Right.
Same thing with SmackDown. When you're on Wednesday night, if you don't continue to produce every week and don't continue to put something out there and somebody goes away for 1 week to the other show, it's awful hard to get them to switch back.
Sure.
I disagree with them. I don't think it's that people are tuning away from the wrestling. I think that what happened was people tuned into the other show with wrestling, and now you got to get them to switch back.
Right. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, NXT, for all we know, like maybe they have a cool head. Maybe they're like, guys, we won the ratings before. Let's slow it down. We don't want to rush our product, and we're going to have a big show coming up, and they'll start to tune in. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know.
Yeah, and they've got the big shows coming up. Now you've got coming up at the next TakeOver, you're going to have Keith Lee going for the North American title. Yeah. That's going to be a big match. I think that people want to see a belt on Keith Lee. Yeah. Does he need it? I don't think so, but people want to see it.
I thought you must have been. I thought you were probably in heaven in that first segment when Tony Storm came out and talked about wanting to win the title on the UK show today, actually, it's going on right now, and then challenge for the NXT belt as well. I was like, this is exactly what you've been wanting.
Yeah, we've been clear about Tony Storm's ass here. So
yeah.
I didn't even realize that there was a promo cut. I was a little hypnotized. And then afterwards, I went back and watched it, and it was a really good promo.
We're going to wrap this up, I think. I think we've blabbed on enough. We got a Ricky Morton interview coming up. Is there anything else anybody wants to add real quick before I...
No, I think we're good.
This is the Working Fans Podcast. Thank you.
Hello, this is Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express, and you are listening to the Working Fan Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Working Fans Podcast with Dave and AJ, and today we got National Wrestling Alliance great, the one and only 9-time tag team champion with Robert Gibson, the ultimate babyface, Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express. Ricky, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing real good, man. Thank you for having me on your show today. You know, it's just another day at the office, my friend.
Awesome to hear, man. Well, let's just start right in the beginning. You trained with your father and a guy named Ken Lucas. So Paul Morton, Ken Lucas, how was it breaking into business?
Well, you know, coming from a wrestling family, when I first started, you know, the whole business was different. Really sacred. It's hard. It was hard to get in. And don't think just because my dad was a wrestler or a referee that I had it easy in any way. Matter of fact, I think it was just a little bit harder. It's the same thing, you know, my son wants to be a wrestler, and it's hard to get your family into the business once you're in there. I mean, for certain people it is anyway. My dad, he spent all his life in the wrestling business. He wrestled in the 50s and 60s, and then he refereed for the Memphis Wrestling. It goes on his times when I broke into the business. You was mentioning earlier about Ken Lucas, but before that route, you know, I had a lot of them. You know, you learn. I was partners with a guy named Sonny King. Me and Eddie Gilbert was partners before me and Ken Lucas were. Me and Eddie were in Oklahoma territory together with Leroy McGurk. Skandar Akbar was the booker. And then I left there and went back to Memphis, and that's when me and Ken Lucas teamed up. Kenny and I, we went to San Antonio for Southwest Championship Wrestling that was owned by Tully Blanchard's dad, Joe Blanchard. And then that's where I first met Tully. Matter of fact, him and Gino Hernandez were partners at that time. And me and Ken Lucas did that. But, you know, and people a lot of times tell me, Ricky Morton, you're one of the greatest baby faces in the world. But what people don't understand is they don't go back. They don't understand the history of professional wrestling. Ken Lucas is one of the greatest baby faces of all time in our business. He just never got the recognition. Nowadays, the people don't know him or knew who he is. Once you get a chance to check him out, go back in the days and look up Ken Lucas, and man, I'm telling you, he'll really blow your mind in our business by telling a story. The psychology of the ring. He was one of the best I ever learned from, man, and to me, he was the greatest of all.
Huh. Hi, Ricky. My name's AJ. I'm the co-host. I actually wrestled for 10 years. I trained with Adrian Street many, many years ago, and then worked through a lot of the South and then up here in the Northeast. And I am like yourself. I'm going to be a little quieter than I normally am because to me, this is an opportunity to sit under the learning tree. It's the reason why I actually listen to the School of Morton podcast every week, because quite frankly, everything that you say means so much. And I've watched old footage of you and Ken Lucas teaming up together and actually working matches. And I think one of the things that we're missing today is they don't tell the story. People don't work the body parts anymore. They don't work the crowd the same way. And the reason why you were such a great babyface, in my opinion, was just the sympathy that you drew from having those body parts worked over on you and the way you bumped your ass off in the ring. So, Ricky, I just wanted to say thank you for that, and thank you for being on this podcast.
Yeah, you know what, AJ, thank you for mentioning that. And you see, I do have my wrestling school, and I try to tell people, this is really hard. Just this one simple thing. It's really hard to make the guys to understand that you got to understand our business before you can even do it. Matter of fact, I was at WrestleCade back at Thanksgiving time, which we had, what I'm saying is, but they had the night, on a Friday night, they had like a lot of the promoters brought some of their top guys in to wrestle. And I wasn't doing nothing. So I walked over to the Civic Center, and I was going to sit down and watch some of the match. And it really just blew my mind. The first match, I think it started out with a Hurricane Carolina off the top rope to the floor. And then I'm thinking to myself, where the hell are you going to go from here? Nobody knows. And then, after the second match, they asked me, so where'd you go? And I said, dude, I feel like I'm watching Andy Griffith rerun. Every match is the same. You're all doing the same high spots. You're trying to outdo each other. And the one simplest thing that none of you have did all night, I haven't seen one of you grab a wrestling coat. Not a headlock, not an arm.
Right.
It's just like you got a playbook written on your arm, high spot number 1, high spot number 2, high spot number 3, and none of it means nothing. To the average wrestling fan that is today, to them, I don't know. But if you go back in the era of, especially when we worked the Midnight Express and when we worked the Four Horsemen, Robert Nine, me, Russell, and Ric Flair, we told a story. Before, and this is really funny, because we never, and I'm going back to the thing, I tell you a lot about how the business used to be. No, I didn't walk 20 miles barefooted in snow down. No, nothing like that. But what I'm saying is the baby faces and heels never talked. You never seen that.
Right.
We were on separate sides of the building. Matter of fact, you get fired if you even got close to a baby face or because our business was sacred. 9 out of 10 times, unless you was at TV, but you didn't go in the back, all you got was a finish. Me and Robert walking to the ring is normally when we got our finish, and it wasn't this and you got to do that. It's baby face is over or the heel's over. That's all they told you. We'd go out and do our shows, but you see, it's just a different time, different place for our business. But with the, entertainment part of it, like, you watch WWE and you watch these right here. And sometimes, to me, I really get lost just wondering what they're going to do next. And what really blows my mind is I wonder if a lot of people haven't got really, really seriously hurt more than what they are. And it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's really going to happen. Because the guys don't know how to take care of each other no more. I see them on there sometimes just kick their brains out. There's no need for that. If you know how to work in our business, you don't have to do that. And something's going to have to change somewhere around the time. And when it does, that's when Ricky Morton's going to step in. To let these guys understand, it's more to our business than, I was watching TV the other night, and I told my wife, and I says, well, this guy here is fixing to do something really spectacular. She said, how you know? I said, there's 20 guys on the floor going to catch it.
Right.
Yeah, man. And things just change.
Well,
looking forward to, how you doing, one guys? And I know that y'all asked the question. But,
No, please, Ricky. No, I was just going to mention.
The new year 2020, but man, 2019, and you go back to you NWA, and you see that. But last year, I think Robert and I, at me being 63 years old, had one of the greatest years we had in the business.
Right.
I was never on a contract. Never had a contract in my life. Made a lot of people rich. And this is what nobody understands. I stood up to the boys in my day. And it's not the guys in my era or the guys after that. It's the guys right now in our business that respect what Robert and I have done. I don't know. A lot of times, I try to get a job at big companies, not to wrestle, but to work in the back, and it's like I'm a threat to a lot of people. But when you go into today, when they call us in, it's so much respect that these young kids that don't have to, that show Robert and I some of the greatest respect, and they listen to a lot of things that I'm talking about. I'm hoping that 2020 top 2019, especially being at the age I am, because I'm not here in this business to prove a point. I'm not here to be somebody that I'm not. I still depend on wrestling for a living. Like you said, dude, my biggest year in the wrestling business was $125,000, and that was in 1985. I'm hoping to see. That's what I'm saying, and I think that Robert and I did. We paved the roads because I wanted, back in 1985 and 86, I knew that our wrestling business, some of our people could be as famous as some of these great football players or great athletes in our business, and what it come to. But see, we got left behind because I'm the one that took the heat for everybody. I mean, and I did. I told promoters how I felt. I stuck up for the boys, but a lot of it is too. But it's my fault because I wasn't
political.
Go back over again and get my education a lot better. I wasn't educated enough to know what was really going on, but I was educated enough to know that I fought for the boys.
Yeah.
To get them where they're at today.
It's funny, like you were saying, it almost seems like wrestling reflects society in a way. Everybody is nicer and more respectful on one hand, which is really nice. Like, in a sense, I think you do have a lot more understanding in the world now than you did maybe years ago. But on the flip side of that, everything is so fast-paced. And, like, you watch a TV series, now you can watch a whole season in, one sitting. You can just spend, Netflix will just down you a whole series. And I feel like wrestling is kind of that way too. It's just everything is fast, and there's all this crazy stuff happening, like you said. But when I was a kid, I was more glued to it because, you only had wrestling once a week, TV, a lot of enhancement matches. Maybe you get one big main event match, and then you had to go to the arena or buy a pay-per-view. And it just meant more because you had to wait. There wasn't so much of it. Yeah,
but you know what? And I thought about the same thing. But if these guys would slow down a little bit instead of making something happen, everything happened in one night. You read a great book. You read a great book, but if normally when you write a book, you write the finish first. The ending of the book is written before the rest of the book is. So if they could sit down and just keep you interested in that whole program like a book does until you get to the finish. But now it seems like they're trying to, they write the whole book in one night. And if it ain't working, they change to something else. That's just my opinion. Opinions like your ass. Everybody's got one.
Right.
Well, Rick, I think it also goes back to what you were talking about. When you were talking before, you mentioned the fact that you'll watch the first match and you see somebody doing one of those super hurricanrana flippity-flu things in the first match, and you don't go to a movie or a book and see the biggest action happen in the first match, the second match. Back in the good old days, and I love to say that, when wrestling was wrestling and not sports entertainment, what we did was we built matches and built up a storyline to the main event. You weren't trying to have.
Well, when I started in the business, when I first went to Memphis territory, and guys, the Memphis territory was the hottest wrestling bed ever in its time when you had territories. Memphis Coliseum, they would, every Monday night, it was sold out. Every Tuesday, Louisville, Wednesday, Evansville. But these buildings, we didn't, it's like they come to your town once a year. They sold out every week. Could you imagine WWE coming to the same town every Monday night and doing Monday Night Raw?
Sure. Right.
How many people would you have out in the crowd?
Oh, yeah. Okay. It ain't going to happen.
About 6 weeks, you'd be able to throw a hand grenade in there. It wouldn't hurt nobody.
Right. They're having trouble selling out doing what they're doing.
But what I'm trying to say is now, in the business, when I was in Memphis, if you were in the first match, you never do a punch. You worked a headlock. Second match, maybe the arm. Third match, maybe that. Then you had your semi-main event, which was an angle on TV, maybe a tag team. And then you had your main event, Lawler or Dundee, whatever it was. And that's just the way it was. You know, even in my wrestlers, because I try to teach these guys, and I just mentioned this. Even right now, if you watch me wrestle, even though if I'm in there, I will always start my match off just to work up for me to ball my fist up. And, you know, instead of me just going in the ring, my fist up, throwing punches, doing it, I will go to 2 or 3 things where I'm outsmarting the heel, then the heel does something mean or cheats, and it gives me a reason just to ball my fist up. And to try to make people understand that, man, gosh, I'd be better off winning the lottery, I guess. But we have, but don't get me wrong, dude. I mean, I absolutely adore this business. I mean, I love it. There's nothing, you know, they had a saying, you know, if you love what you do, you never work a day of your life.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a bunch of bullshit.
That's good to know.
That's a bunch of bullshit. Okay. I told somebody today, man, I says, I wrestle for free. I get paid for traveling.
All right.
And yeah, I do. I mean, I love my business. And, you know, it's hard, you know, along the road, you know, in 85 when you work for territories, you never had a day off. And I'm serious. I can remember the times that Rick and I, man, we, you know, I think 17 days in a row we went an hour time limit. And that was 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. Not counting the TV on Saturday morning. But, you know, it's just the way it was. I mean, that's the way territories were fought. And you got paid by how many butts you put in the seats. And you got paid, you know, the boys depended on you. You know, I didn't work main event just because I was there, you know, and I learned, you could tell you something, dude. I might, you know, Dusty Rhodes was a booker. And I learned so much from Dusty. It's unbelievable. And one day I'll be able to have my ability, that somebody will hire me to show what I know in this business. But don't get me wrong, we didn't always get along together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We had our fuses, but you know, I got to say that it was great because we all depended on each other.
I got to tell you, before I forget, I want to get this out. I'm 43 years old, and I saw you wrestle, you know, as a young man, but I can't believe I've seen you live twice, and it was both in 2019. I saw you at an independent show at Beyond Wrestling in New Japan. So when you talk about still going strong, like it's crazy, man.
Oh, man, like, where'd you see us? What show did you see me at New Japan?
The Mask show.
Yeah, man, that was really cool up there that night. We wrestled Chase Owens.
Yep.
And this guy, you know, Chase is one of my students from my school.
School of Morton.
Chase is one of the few and far between. He has a good thing going in Japan, but God, man, he could work a match. So unbelievable and tell that story, but I took a lot of time with him. Yeah. But thank you. You know what? That's really cool, and I hope you get to see them more. You know, New Japan's going to be back here. We were going to be formed the 24th, but we got to do NWA. We have to do a whole other season of taping, 24th, 25th, and 26th. But then we leave straight from there. We go to New Japan shows again. Matter of fact, I think we're going to be in Raleigh, Miami, and Nashville, and Atlanta. So Ricky, I'm looking forward to that.
Ricky, how do you feel about the NWA being back? Because that got to be exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And see, it's another thing, you know, and stop to think about this. It's not me trying to be something that I'm not. Like I keep repeating myself. When they tell us they're going to put the belts on us, I really was skeptical of it. But then I understood what they were doing, okay? Man, you keep watching this series because I don't give spoiler works, but it works into where me and Nick Addis has a match. It's really cool. I want you guys to watch that match.
Oh, yeah, we've been watching every week.
We saw this Tuesday. We saw you come out at the end, and you stole the show.
Yeah.
With your just the altercation.
Yes, and you see, and this is what, really listen to this right here. It's like those guys that worked there. You know, Wild Card Thomas.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. See, a lot of people just don't understand how good he is. And you see, it's not what he does, it's what he don't do when I get in the ring with him. This is my talk. I really don't want, you know, and I still can't say it, bro. I ain't bullshitting. I still believe in my business. But there's the things that he does in the ring with me that makes me look like I'm 19 years old because he knows. And I didn't have to tell it. That's what I like about it. That's what our business is missing today. And a lot of you guys, everybody listen, it ain't what you do, it's what you don't do. And it's the greatest things in the world. Keep watching NWA because it only gets better. I promise you it does. They have a lot of great talent on there, guys. A lot of great talent. And I love to sit in the back and just watch them. They do a lot of great things on there, and I don't know how far to go. But I hope it lasts us forever because right now it's a great show, great ratings. And I know that their pay-per-view, they was hoping for this much, and they got 6 times that.
Oh, nice.
So I thought it was pretty good. Yes.
Ricky, one of the things that I appreciate that you're doing is that you don't go too far into it and that you do keep some of the mystique that is the wrestling. Having worked for the 10 years, one of the things that I told these guys when we started the podcast is that I will never go into exactly what we do, what kind of things we communicate with each other, how we do things in the ring. And the reason why I don't do that is because at the end of the day, it's like a great magician. You don't go to a magic show wanting to know how to do the trick. You go to a magic show to be entertained. And if we tell everybody every little thing that we do and how we do it, it takes away from the wrestling that we love so much.
Yeah, but you see, man, nowadays everywhere you go, and I hate this, guys walk up to you and they think that they're giving you the wrestler's handshake.
Oh, God, I hate that.
They don't have a damn clue what it even means. And they look at you like I'm supposed to be. Look here, bud. You don't have a clue what you just did to me. Yeah. You don't even understand what that means. And whoever told you what that means, or if they're the ones that trained you, they have no business even training you.
I agree.
I meet a lot of guys, and if you're interested in being a professional wrestler, you have to go to somebody that knows what they're doing, how to train you. You just can't go. I talk to people all the time. Who trained you? So-and-so. What the hell is this place at? Or what's this guy's name? I never even heard of him before. What's he doing training you? What company do you ever work for? And it's nothing. And then they expect to get in the ring with me, and it don't happen. But, every now and then, buddy, I hit the lottery. I get in the ring with some guys that are really phenomenal. And I'm going to say one of them right now is Santana and Ortiz, the LEX that used to be. Well, and I'm going to kayfabe my business too, but I'm going to tell you this: there's 2 guys. They, wherever they got and wherever they going, they deserve it. They are absolutely phenomenal in the ring. Wow! And and I'm serious. The matter of fact is, I guess they're the ones that put Robert and I back on the map. Really, to tell you the truth, and I don't have, I'm not ashamed to say that. They're a real big deal in AEW, which next Wednesday night I will be back.
Oh, no kidding. Awesome.
Next Wednesday, the 8th, I'll be back on AEW. I'm looking forward to going there because what I'm saying to you is the guys now that still take care of Robert and I. Because, and what I was telling you earlier, I don't know if I finished it, I still depend on wrestling to make a living, guys, and I do. And like I was telling you earlier, I just not be being on TV trying to be something that I'm not. This is the only thing I know. I'm not a doctor. I don't have a doctor's degree. I barely have a high school education. But wrestling, I have a PhD in. And these guys, these days, and that's what I appreciate. They're the ones that take care of us. NWA, all these guys, and they treat me with the most upright respect that you could ever imagine, fellas. And don't think I don't ever appreciate that, and don't think that before I leave that building, I'll let everybody in that building know how I feel. Meet a lot of young guys with a lot of great talent on the independent circuit. But our business is not based on, which I'm going back to the wrestling, because it's not based on what you do. It's just being at the right place at the right time. And being at the right place at the right time is when somebody asks you to do something, you know how to do it. There's no questions asked. There's nothing that you know what they're talking about and know how to do it, because that's how you get our jobs. Same thing I was saying, people like me and people like it in our wrestling business. I even say this, even Hunter Henson, he even watched him. He can know if you know how to work or not. But see, you don't go in the ring and start the match off with a hurricane cry. You understand me? I can look at guys and tell them if they know how to work or not. I can look at guys and tell them if I'm going to do anything that night, because I don't want them to hurt me. I still got to wrestle next weekend to pay my bills, and that's just the way. I don't know what track I got up on, but buddy, I'm way out there right now. Okay.
Ricky, speaking of being in the right place at the right time, we did an interview earlier today with Nikita Koloff, and he was telling us a story, and he didn't tell us the full story because he said you tell the story much better than he does, where as a very green and young Nikita was in the ring for one of his first couple matches that he got to wrestle.
I can take it over from here.
Go ahead.
I can take it. I know exactly where you're going to. Robert and I, there, at the time when we come into NWA, Nikita was there, but he hadn't been. You have to be in a ring to work and learn our business. It takes you a long time. We was doing most of the work with Barry Dorso and Ivan Koloff, and here comes Nikita in the ring. And is it all right to say? I mean, I have said a couple of bad words.
Ricky, you can say.
Oh, you can say whatever you want. Yeah, anything. That's all good.
I get in the ring, I start the match off with Nikita, and I lock up with him and see, this is the part about training. God, man, he headbutted me so hard, I almost knocked me out. And I went, holy crap. And I rubbed my head, and I went, okay, accident. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I locked up with him again, headbutted me again.
Oh.
Holy crap. And maybe I'll tell you another good story, but remind me another one. That buttered me again, and I was rubbing my head, and I walked over to Robert, and I said, pull this big son of a bitch off me. I went to lock up with him again. When he do, I threw my elbow up there, and it hit him in the eye, and it split his eye wide open.
Oh, man.
He was cussing, hollering, and screaming, and fighting, blah, blah, blah. But then when I locked up with him the third time, he had that head all the way back. He didn't headbutt me no more.
There you go. All right.
I hope that's the one he told you.
Oh, yeah.
Another one like that. Johnny, at this time, this is LBJ. He used to wrestle this Johnny Hawk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When we first broke into business. Oh, yeah. And, that's when we were for Crockett. That's when he moved to Dallas. NWA went to Dallas after WCW and bought him out. So, all that stuff. So, forgot me and Robert were working with him and somebody, and he told I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not because he's a big bad dude. You hear me? So I told him, I said, "Snatch the hell out! Give me a big towel." Well, but he hit that rope, and he hit me so hard that it damn near knocked me through the ropes to the floor. And the same thing, I rolled back in the ring. I told Robert, I says, "Come in here and pull this son of a bitch off me." And I told him, I says, he got me the turnbuckle, and I said, man, give me a turnbuckle, come charging fast as you can. And when he come charging as fast as he can, I come out of that turnbuckle, and I hit him hard as I can, right in the mouth. But boom, but you see, he's a big, tough, bad guy. And then when I hit him real hard, he looked at me so pitiful, and he goes, what did you do that for? and I looked at him. I went, because I'm just a dumb son of a bitch, I guess. I'm just because it didn't phase it. You understand me? And he goes, was that a receipt? I says, yeah, I think so. Then I walked over and tagged Robert.
Oh, man.
But if you ever see him, ask him about that. I mean, it's really a great story.
Awesome.
Cool.
One other thing I wanted to ask you, too, because you were talking about your school and you talked about training, people think. We had Al Snow on here about a couple months ago, and he runs a school down Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was telling us the same thing, basically, that there's a lot of people who probably shouldn't be training today, and that back in the day that you were a reflection of where you came from. That he said if he did anything wrong, even to this day, like he would hear about it from his trainer, and you get blackballed.
So, in my day, I worked the territory.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about guys like you were tough. Gypsy Joe, all them guys. They would give you one spot, and if you messed it up, they didn't hurt you, but they just ate your lunch. They trapped you hard. They hit you across the back hard. And you didn't get another spot. You hear me? Yeah. And that's the same thing. That's the way you did learn. I seen a lot of crazy stuff in this business. But, when you was one in the business, he didn't try to hurt you, but they try to make you learn. And it's like me when I send some of my guys out. See, it's my responsibility to make them do that. Matter of fact, one of my guys went to Al Snow's Ring of Honor. His name's Luscious Lawrence. You get a chance to check him out. He's unbelievable. He's going to be He's going to be a superstar in our business. You know, I have a little school down here in Chuckey, Tennessee, out in the middle of nowhere, where we train 3 times a week. But it's for the boys. You know, they go for me, and I was glad that he went to Ohio Valley to get out, because he gets more exposure. And if you guys get a chance, man, maybe you know what? Probably this Sunday we'll have a live show on YouTube. I have live shows on YouTube, the School of Morton. We do a lot of stuff on there, man. We have our own production. We have, matter of fact, we come on CWTV Eastern Time every Saturday at 12:30. We do a lot. I have a lot of good guys there that, you know what, man, and I just want them to live out their dream. Even if they don't make it, I can give them a chance, because my thing is to teach them about, no matter what you become or what you do, is to never give up. When I first broke into business, I was told that I would never make it in the business. I was too small, which at the time, wrestling was different. You know, you didn't have the big bodybuilder guys, which you did, a few of them, but a lot of them were 400 or 500 pounds, just big old guys. And you see, our business did change for the best because of that. Because nowadays, even though we're our entertainment, dude, if you're not in physical shape, if you're not a real professional athlete, you're not going to make it 5 minutes in the ring. You have to train, you know. I guess, AJ, you can understand me. You got to train to take bumps. You just can't go in the ring and do. You know, I have guys that come into my school every now and then. You'll have a prick that walks in there that thinks he knows everything, and I want to be a professional wrestler. And I says, okay, really? Yeah, I can do this. Anybody can do this.
Oh, Jesus.
And I don't know, and I just tell myself, all right, just roll in the ring, and I just want you to hit the ropes 20 times. Okay. And I know, and if you're a wrestler, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes.
And you never hit them ropes. Look here, about that 8th time he hit it, he rolled out of the ring, grabbed his phone, he says, oh, I have an emergency, I got to go. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to go, fella.
Back to what you were talking about, Ricky. When I trained with Adrian Street, he had that old-fashioned mentality of training, and it was a good way of training that he would teach me the holds, and he would teach me, obviously, how to take bumps and stuff of that nature. But if I didn't do holds right with him, he would sink it in a little deeper on me, or he would change the angle a little bit. And next thing you know, I was hooting and hollering like a little schoolgirl. And I'm 6'3", 280 pounds.
Have you ever heard about the dungeon from Stu Hart?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes. You know, I have a dungeon in my school, but I don't use it for that. You know, the world's changed now.
I'm planning on this year.
You know, Adrian, you know, and everybody didn't know, you know, Adrian was a tough guy. And I'm telling you what, Linda was tougher than him.
Oh,
we heard. Yeah.
Oh, yes. His wife, I absolutely love Adrian, man.
Having gone out for drinks with the two of them, oi.
Yeah. I was in the era where I got to work with him a lot in Memphis and in Louisiana. Adrian's the only guy in the world I know that could work your cheek, you know, in a match. You ever did that to you?
Oh, God, yes. Absolutely.
Some of the greatest stuff in the world that nobody even imagined that made him different.
I'll tell you, people thought that I was making up some of the stuff that I told them about my training with Adrian Street. And then WWF did that special this year on Adrian Street. And he talked about the stuff that he did that these guys didn't realize that he had done. And they're like, holy shit, you were telling the truth. Because they couldn't believe he did that.
And, you know, you have that. You know, that over in England and all that place, Adrian Street, man, he was one of those guys, you know, he was a killer. You know, I first met Adrian. Did he ever tell you about the Russian pretzel hoat?
Oh, God. Please. Oh, that's just a nightmare. Oh, my God, I'm having flashbacks.
Well, this is what I call it, the Russian pretzel hoat, because, you know, once Adrian put it on you, you couldn't get out of it. And Adrian did. He got it on me, and then I got out of it. And he asked me, he says, how did you get out of it? I said, well, first of all, Adrian, when you put that on me, I looked up and I see a big set of balls. It's amazing what you do when you bite your own nuts.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
But no, guys, I hope I didn't about it.
No, please,
that's awesome.
Ricky. When he put me in it, it was like being there with a boa constrictor. The more I tried to fight, the farther I felt like I was trapped.
You know what? When he said, when I left the part out, he said, how'd you get out of us? And when I looked up at that Russian pretzel hole, I said, big set of balls. And then I said, it's amazing what you do when you bite your own nuts. You know?
Oh, goodness. Oh.
Adrian, I have a lot of good times with Adrian. We work territories together. You had to take care of each other. You know, if I was hurt, we couldn't do things. And when you was working on top of that territory, you know, it's a whole different standard because you got to carry the territory. Make sure that the people believe in what you're doing. See me, even at being 63, when I go to the ring, I try, unless, you know, but I try to make the people believe what I'm doing. And that's the secret of our business, too. When I sell, if I can convince the guy on the front row that whatever the heel's doing to me, that's what's really happening. And that's when you learn. If you're out there and you're a good heel and you're a good baby face, you can actually learn how to sell one punch better than you can 47. You can sell one kick better than you can 300. And you guys know where I'm going to from this.
Absolutely.
It's just too much. You know, in real life, if you stomp me in the head 30 times, I'm not getting up. No. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week.
Watch an MMA fight.
You've got to stop to understand.
I was saying, watch an MMA fight. That's not how that works. You know?
Yeah, I got you, gentlemen. Yeah. Hey, I know that I'll be able to interview with you fellas.
Yep.
Anything quick you want to ask me earlier? Because I'm going to Pigeon Forge to meet my wife.
Oh, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Then I'm early in the morning, and I got to go to Durham, North Carolina. What's that?
I said, no problem. We only had two more things, actually. Yeah, we were going to ask you if you got any great road stories, and then if there's anything else you want to talk about, your school or promote.
Yeah, I got a lot of great road stories, but I probably caused a lot of divorces.
Just pick one you can tell.
Right off my bat right now, I don't know. No, but we did a lot of things on the road together. Yeah. You know what? I tell you, the first time I ever went into Louisiana for Bill Watts, that's when Jim Duggan and Magnum TA were there. And, dude, there's a place called the Lighthouse in Alexandria, and they told me it was real asshole. Me and Robert, that's where we lived at, in Alexandria. And we got into Terry off that night, and I walk in, I see his hat's all Jim Duggan. I see Magnum TA. He went to the best, and then all of a sudden something happened. And I seen a guy come running by with a tar or two in his hand. And Magnum TA was chasing him. But he hit Magnum in the back of the head, that tar, but he's chasing him. And then I look up, and here comes, it's like, man, like they would film in a movie. Jim Duggan is on the hood of a truck.
Huh. Oh, Jesus.
Holding on to it, and they're going across the park a lot, 100 miles an hour. The guy hits his brakes. Jim Duggan comes off of it, rolls about 6 times, and the guy's got the truck in reverse, and Jim Duggan's chasing the truck. That was my first night in the Louisiana territory.
Wow.
Yeah, that was close. I have some really good stories I could tell, but I just don't like telling them on the podcast.
No problem. No problem.
These.
Yeah, we don't want to get anybody in trouble, Ricky.
No. What is the second question?
Actually, is there anything you want to promote, your school or whatever? Go right for it.
Oh, yeah, man, please. I love seeing you guys. Everybody out there, you guys, too. Just go on Facebook, School of Morton, and check it out. Go through it. Everything there is done is really great. And for a guy with no education, check it out. We do everything there at our school. Another thing, if you're interested, I'm in a babyface Ricky Morton on Instagram. A lot of places. You see a lot of good stuff on there. I'm always in the back doing a lot of good stuff. And then regular Facebook, Ricky Morton. This weekend, tomorrow night, I'll be in Durham, North Carolina. I'll be in Spartanburg, the legendary home of NWA, buddy. One of our greatest places that we ever wrestled at. And then next Wednesday, guys, I'll be back at AEW every Tuesday night on YouTube, or you'll see NWA wrestling. And, buddy, it's old school wrestling. Y'all check it out. I really love being a part of that company. Matter of fact, I love being a part of all the companies because it used to be around the boys. The boys is what I stood up for all my life. And that's who I am. I love being around them. And if you guys get a chance to come and see us again, please come.
Will do.
And tell me who you are. And I'll take you to back and show you some things that you never even thought about. Okay?
Ricky, that sounds fantastic. Ricky, we really
man, thank y'all for having me on your show. And God, and me, I just tell you, I believe in God, and God bless you, and be careful through I hope this 2020 is going to be great to you.
Yes.
And just take it for what it's worth and never take a day for granted, buddy. Okay? Know what's going to happen tomorrow.
All right, so that wraps us up for this week. Thank you again for listening to the Working Fans Podcast. So as always, you can find us on Twitter at FansWorking. Our Facebook page is Working Fans Wrestling Pod. We have email where you can reach out to us and let us know what you think also. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, workingfanswrestling_pod. And then as always, please continue to listen to us on Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, all your major platforms. If you're following us on Apple Podcasts, which we are also on now, and YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps us bring you these podcasts where we get to talk to you and talk with you every week.